Hey everybody, it's Todd with todds-n-ends, and this weekend we went down to North Carolina for a family pig picking. And on the way we went by Sylvan Heights Bird Park. If you've never been there, it's a great place to go if you love birds and if you love photography, and especially if you love bird photography. So that's what we did, and when we got back home we also went by Neabsco Creek before coming home and got some great pictures there also. So what do you do when you get home and you have all these pictures to go through? Well, that's the point of this video. I'm going to show you how I go into Paintshop Pro and sort through the photos and decide which ones I keep, which ones I may edit a little, and I thought I would share my technique with you. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't, I don't know. But if you like it, please hit like and subscribe. If you don't like it, you can hit don't like it. I'm fine with that too. Also, if you have ideas or suggestions and you want to put them down in the comments, that's great too. Helps me out and helps me become a better photographer. And I appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, so I've already copied all of my photos into one of two directories. One that's Neabsco Park, which I already had, so I'll have some older photos in there and the ones from yesterday. And I also have a folder I created called Sylvan Heights. So I thought I would start off in Neabsco Park and then move to the Sylvan Heights photos. So I'm in the Neabsco Park folder, and I'm going to come up here and go near the top. The first four photos are old photos, so I'm going to start with the very first photo I took yesterday. I double click on that, which puts me in preview mode, and I'm in the manage pane of Paintshop Pro 2022. What you see here is a yellow warbler that showed up on the Merlin app, and it took a while to find him, but find him I did, and then I managed to get a couple of shots. So I'll zoom in here and look and see how clear it is. It's not crystal clear, but it's good enough for bird identification. It's pretty clear what he is, and I would probably come into this photo and crop it a lot and then maybe try to sharpen it. But I'm going to keep going and see if any of the other ones that I took are better. Now you'll notice there's two of every photo because I did have raw imaging on, so I've got the NEF file and the JPEG file. Sometimes I like the NEF better, sometimes I like the JPEG better, but I'm kind of a pack rat, so I like to have the NEF in case I want to bring it into Nikon's software and really edit with the settings after I've done the shot. Really the only thing that matters when you're going to do something like that is that you got a focused shot. You can always adjust the lighting with a Nikon raw image after the fact, as long as the image is sharp, as long as you were able to get it in focus. So there's one that looks fairly in focus. If I go in too much, it starts to get fuzzy. I'm shooting a very large lens, the Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens on my Nikon D7500. So it's fairly heavy, and I'm shooting up, so I have no tripod. It's kind of hard to handhold that and get a crystal clear shot. Sometimes you do, but more often than not, they're going to be a little fuzzy when you zoom in. But like I said, I would keep these and crop them down for like a bird identification photo and to add to my collection of 2023 species that I've been able to see and photograph. So I'm going through, I'm not really seeing any in there that I want to look at any closer for now for maybe editing. This bird was very interesting to me. I didn't know what it was till I got home and identified it. This is actually a red-winged blackbird, but this is the female. And I didn't know that they had such interesting colors. At first I thought maybe it was a pine siskin, and then as I zoomed in I was like, no, that's not it. So I identified it, and it turned out to be a red-winged blackbird. So that photo is nice and sharp, and the lighting is good. So if I was going to keep that and edit that, I would exit out here. It's already selected, and I'd hit edit. Computer's running a little slow today. I wonder if I have too many things open. I've got a lot of web browsers with tabs open. I'm sure they're eating up a lot of resources. Alright, so the first thing I do usually is I crop it. That might be a little bit much. Let's see. It's kind of looking to the left, so I'll leave a little bit more room to the left. Try that. There we go. I like that. That works for me. I don't think I really need to adjust the lighting. If I were going to do anything, I might see how it looks with some local tone mapping, make it a little more dramatic. And then I might try vignetting, since the hit OK, since the bird is sort of in the middle and there's a lot of bright colors around. Let's see what he looks like if you vignette. Yeah, I think I like that better. And then the last thing I might do is, if I was going to keep that, I would maybe put a signature up there. But I would come in and say save as. I have a folder that I created within the overall Neabsco Park folder called edited. So I don't like to save my original photo in case I want to come back and recompose it later or do something else. I'm kind of a digital pack rat, so I go into edited and then I would just either save it right as that, or maybe I'll put a description in front of the first part of that. I keep the numbers so I can keep them separated, and I would call that female, if I can spell, female blackbird. There we go. She's quite lovely. And there we go. I've saved that image off, and maybe I could print that on a small print. I'll close it out, and we'll go back to manage again, and we'll move along. And so there's a lot of pictures to go through, so I can't spend too much time on any one photo. So I sort of take the best swing at it that I can. So I go from this photo to this photo, and immediately I'm like, well, darn, maybe I should have spent my time on this photo, because this photo is in a lot of ways more interesting. You can see her face better. So I would probably I would do a similar technique to that one. And move along. That's the muskrat that we saw. There we go, red-winged blackbird. So this is probably, since it was close by, this is the husband, and that was the wife, maybe, or the partner, however you want to put it. But he was on. When I went out there, I have so many pictures of the red-winged blackbirds. I said I wasn't going to shoot any, and then he landed on the railing right next to me, just daring me to take his picture. So when I look at that, I really don't need to do anything to that photo. I could just save that off and use it. Same with that one. Okay, so these were out on a stick in the marsh there. You can't really see that bird that well, so I'll move along a little bit. That's a barn swallow. I didn't know it at the time. I thought it was going to be a tree swallow until I got in and started looking at the pictures, and it identified as a barn swallow. So I have this image. I believe that's the female. There were two of them, and they were just a few feet apart. So if I zoom in, I see that it's not perfectly clear. It would still make a good bird identification photo. I might leave it out to about here if I was going to trim it. But I'll move on and see if I see any better ones than that. Okay, and that, I believe, is the male, because the male was facing the other way and the female was facing me. That's kind of an interesting photo, so I'll zoom in on that. Again, it's not crystal clear, but she's doing something interesting. So let me see what the next one looks like. Maybe that one's a little clearer. It's a little clearer. So I might trim that down and save that one also, because it's kind of interesting, but I'm going to keep going. I can always come back. That's a nice clear photo. I like that one. I'm going to 5-star that one. I'm going to exit and then hit edit. So I don't really know what to do with all of these bird photos that I'm collecting and taking. I may put them all in a book and sell it on Amazon at some point. But right now I'm just collecting images that I can use. So there she is. Or he. I don't really know. I'm not an ornithologist. But I'll do that. Maybe there. Okay. So pretty happy with that. The one other thing I would do is probably again maybe adjust the color just a little bit, pump up the vibrancy just a hair. Say number 6 or strength of 6. And then I would probably go ahead and go to effects, photo effects, vignette, because there's a lot of green around the edge and I want it to be a little more dramatic, a little more focused on the bird than the surrounding. Let's see, okay, and there you go. So in my opinion, that's a better shot. I have friends who give me a hard time for using vignetting too often, so I've tried to cut back on it and, you know, pick my times when I use it. And this is one of those where I thought that taking out some of the bright green around would really make the emphasis on the bird, and I think that looks better personally. And then I would just save as, because again I want to keep the original as the original, and so I'll come in here and just call it barn swallow, if I can learn to spell. It already exists. Oh, fine. Yes, I did do a practice run of this one earlier. There we go. So I'll say B. So that's how I come through and look at some of these. I'm gonna go back to manage. Funny story about one of the bird pictures that are coming up. I'll wait till I get there. That's an interesting photo also. I like the way the bird is looking back over her shoulder. It's pretty sharp too. So for the sake of this, I'm not going to do every picture, but I would also keep that picture and add it to the collection as well. Let's go along and see what other species of birds we have. It's another really decent shot. That one there is, I believe, the male facing away from me, because of the deeper blue on the back. You can really see the tips of the wings that look very interesting. And they're just not quite sharp enough. That's not horrible, but I have one kind of like that. So moving along. I think that was an orchard oriole when we looked it up on the Merlin app, which we also didn't have. I didn't get a great picture of that bird, but it was good enough for identification, and I got 2 of them before it disappeared out of the tree. The tree that it was in was a tree where I had seen northern redstarts, and I really wanted to get a picture of that, so we were kind of camped out near that tree, and when I saw this I got excited and thought it was going to be the redstart. But I'll take an orchard oriole. That was something that was on my list. Oh, so when I'm in here also, I might have been shooting hoping to capture the bird, and there's no bird. I will just hit the delete key. Again, trying to hit a bird, no bird, delete, delete. I don't like to keep pictures around if I don't need them. Alright, here's our buddy, the cedar waxwing. And I'm going to zoom in. It's a pretty good picture. They're very photogenic birds, these cedar waxwings. They're very handsome. I'm going to go through and see if I have any better pictures than that. They're difficult to shoot because they really hang out in the tops of the trees, and they don't like to come down. Lighting wasn't great also. It was overcast. I'm shooting straight up at the birds. That was not bad. So let's see. Oh, let's see. I think I like that one, because you can really see the color and it's light enough. You don't get to see the tuft on the head, but you can really see the beautiful texture of their wings. So I might take that picture and crop it down, and because of how bright the surrounding is, I'm probably going to vignette this. I'll warn you right now. If you hate that, I understand. I need the Jeopardy theme playing in the background while this thing opens. It might be time for a computer upgrade. I think I need to get an i7. This i5 is just a little slow. It's a Kaby Lake processor. It's like 2 or 3 generations old. Alright, so there's my bird. Let's zoom in and do a couple of things. One, And I know this is going to make the purist out there throw up in their mouth a little bit. I'm going to adjust the hue and saturation, vibrancy, and crank it up just a little. Just a smidge. Alright, there's my birdie. Now let's take out some of the bright white corners. Effects, photo effects, vignette. I could do it like really crazy like that, but I really think that I will start getting hate letters if I do that, so I'll stick to keeping it kind of subdued, just a little. Might be able to adjust the fill light a little bit, and you know, before after type of thing. I probably should have done this before vignetting because it's going to take out some of the vignetting. Yeah, it's not a lot, but I'll keep it. Let's zoom in and see how this bird looks. Such a pretty bird. I like it. File, save as, edited, and waxed wing. Alright, back to manage. I think I took a lot of wax wing photos. I'm going to try to refrain from editing them all. I don't think that's very sharp, but that's kind of interesting. I don't know what that bird is doing. Oh, he's calling out. Probably yelling, "Hey, another photographer!" Oh. Oh, that one's in the wind. Oh, now we have two of them. That's kind of a cool shot. I would probably crop that and keep that as well. So we're just going to keep going. Wow, that's better than the other one that I was working with. So I definitely would keep that one. I love how the ends of their tails look like they were just dipped in yellow paint. Quite pretty. And very photogenic birds. They sit nice and still for you while you shoot, which I appreciate. Alright, that was something that I thought was something. It was nothing. Again, trying to find the yellow warbler in the tree. I saw a lot of yellow, so I took a picture, but I see no warbler. Do you? Nope. Goodbye. Alright, every now and then the camera just goes off. Don't judge. It should be a judgment-free zone. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to take a lot of them, but sometimes they just, you know, they call to you and say, "Hey, take my picture." And those are pretty good pictures. I'll zoom in and you can see. Yeah. But those birds are ubiquitous at that park. They also had some interesting looking flowers that were coming up in the reeds. There's a duck that was sailing by. More of the flower, and now we arrive at the star of the show. So this is the funny story. There was an elderly gentleman and his wife walking through shooting birds also. And we are fairly new to birding, been doing it a little over a year. And this is the first year that we've seen what we were calling the prothonotary warbler. And I was coming out of the woods and I told him that it was at the end of the walkway. As soon as you step onto the ground, you look to your left, he's in a tree right there. And I said, "It's a prothonotary warbler." And he kind of looked at me funny. And as we're walking away, he yells, "Prothonotary!" And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Prothonotary." So we had been mispronouncing this bird's name the whole time. But this is the prothonotary warbler. And we got a lot of pictures of him. He really likes to pose. They're a little dark. There's nothing there. We'll delete that. And I'm still pursuing him. And then we arrive at the place where he decided he wanted to pose. And these first shots weren't great as I'm walking around afraid I'm going to scare him away. But he didn't fly away, so I was trying to improve my composition every time to get the twigs out of the way. As long as he wasn't going to fly away, I was content to keep moving. There we go. So I finally got all the way around where the twigs and branches weren't in the way, and was able to get a shot like this, which I'm very happy with. So let's go edit this. It's tricky shooting in the canopy where you're looking up at the bright sky that's lighting all the leaves and making everything sort of this weird green, and it's hard to get enough light on the bird, so you really have to crank up the lighting on the light meter to the right in order to get the shot. So let's crop it down. I don't want to mess with the angle. That's a little too much croppy. About right there. Alright, so there we go. The first thing I would try is maybe some fill light and clarity and see if we can get a little more detail out of the bird. 37, take it down to 14, take it way up. That's probably a little too much. How about right there? I think I'm happy with that. Alright, what else would I do? I'm probably going to refrain from vignetting this one. I don't really think I need to. I might just leave that right there. I don't even think I need to crank up the saturation at all. I think just cropping it and maybe putting in a little bit of fill light is all I needed for that shot. So I'll do save as, edited, and prothonotary. You can see how I thought that was prothonotary, but again, don't judge, don't be a hater. Alright, so he's in the bag. Now let's go back to manage. Just saying, if you guys hit like and subscribe, I'll have enough money to upgrade my computer at some point. Just saying. Not putting the blame on you, but there we go. I really like that photo also. Oh, that's nice. Such a lovely bird. I don't know what happened. The camera gets heavy. Don't judge. There's a lot of keepers in there. I was shooting away like crazy. I think what I'll do here is I'll show you what happens when you open up a raw file in Corel Paintshop Pro. Not by double clicking it and going right back where I was, sorry. If I hit edit, the software is smart enough to know this is a raw image, so we're not going to open it up to edit like we normally do. It's going to open it up in the raw imaging tool that is built into Paintshop Pro. I'll tell you the name as soon as it pops up. There we go. Aftershock, Aftershock Pro. I don't have the Pro version. This version of Aftershock or the Camera Raw Lab is actually a very light version. You can't do all the things you can with Aftershock Pro. The reason I haven't purchased Aftershock Pro, despite my love of Corel products, is that the Nikon raw imaging software is free. The Nikon Raw Lab, and so if it's free if you have a Nikon camera. So this is what you get built in with Paintshop Pro. I can adjust the brightness, but I'm not sure how much I really need to do that. Alright, I'll adjust it a little bit. I'm not going to touch the temperature. Bad things happen when you adjust the temperature and threshold. I could reduce noise if I wanted to. But I probably would leave it at 0 for this. I hit OK. And what it's going to do now is it's going to bring it into the regular editing mode, where I can use all the other tools in Paintshop Pro to adjust the picture. I would probably do the fill light and clarity. The problem with that is if you start washing out the photo, you start losing details in the bird. So I'll take a light touch with it. Maybe I would crop a little bit. Probably should have cropped before lightning, but that's alright. I think I like that. And there we go. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So I'll do save as. It's already in edited, so I will try to spell prothonotary again. And it adds a little 1 at the end so that I know this one came from the raw image instead of the JPEG. It's going to reduce it down, the number of bits in the picture. And there you go. It's only at 20. You also can see in the zoom that this is the 50% image. So I'm zoomed in 50%. So that gives you an idea of just how much photo is here. It's a lot. So that would probably make a decent print. There's an awful lot of green in the background, but 'tis what it is. Manage. And this was a... I don't know that this is the last bird, actually. I'm going to jump through a bunch of these. Prothonotary. Oh, wow, really like that picture too. Like I said, he was just posing. He was putting on a show. There was another guy with a Canon camera who got there near the end of us shooting, and I said, there he is, you know, I'm going to leave, have fun. I could hear him clicking away when I left. All right. I don't remember what that bird was. Oh, that was the gnatcatcher. He came up on the Merlin app, and I wasn't able to get a real good picture of him. But he was on our list, so delete, delete. Oh, there were some deer there, and I had the lighting turned up way too high because I'd been looking up at the sky. And here we are again with our yellow warbler. And I'm still trying to get a keeper, a decent shot of this yellow warbler. And there we go. I think this is the first time I got a picture of the warbler that I thought, hey, that's kind of a keeper. It's sharp enough that I can do something with it. There's a lot of different warblers out there. I don't think in my lifetime I'll ever see all the warblers, but at this point I think we have seen 5 or 6. Again, I know it's taken a minute. I could use a better computer. Just saying, like, subscribe. Alright, let's crop. Let's crop more than that. I'll start here. I may decide to crop a little more. And the picture's not quite as sharp as I was hoping as I look at it. I'm rolling my mouse wheel to zoom in. I could probably crop that just a little bit more, but for this picture I think I'm just going to save it off because I'm not really looking for a print quality photo for this. This was more of checking off the yellow warbler from my list of birds. And I'm kind of hoping that one of the next pictures will be a little better than that anyway. So we'll go back to manage. Yeah, like that one. That's a better picture. So is that one. And that must be all the ones I got. So let's edit this one. I click edit. On the way home from Neabsco, as we're going down Dumfries Road, we saw a pileated woodpecker. I turned around, pulled into this guy's driveway, and before I could get the picture off, he was at the base of a tree right by the guy's driveway. He flew off. We didn't get the picture. So we got back in the car, we continued driving home, after being out of town for 2 days. And as we got closer to home, a bald eagle is flying right in front of the car. I pulled over again and I watched him fly all the way across the field and into the trees, and I didn't get any pictures, but would like to have. Alright, so we're going to really zoom in on this one. Ah, there we go. I really like that. Do I need to do anything with it? I don't think so. I think I'm happy with it other than recomposing it. Edited. Yellow warbler. I really like the brown stripes they have on their chest. It really adds character to the bird instead of being just solid yellow. Good job, Mother Nature. So that is all the pictures from Neabsco. That was the last picture that we took before getting back in the car. I know from looking at these previously that this next one in the list is from a different day. I could look at the date of the picture and see that it's a different day, but I'm closing out a few things. Yeah, that was from a different day. So I'm going to jump to the Sylvan Heights folder now, and I think you'll see that those pictures are a little more fun. Sylvan Heights. Alright. So before I got to Sylvan Heights, we were going through Richmond and went to James River to a park there. And while I'm standing by the bathrooms waiting for the missus to come out, I look over and there's this mockingbird in the bush right in front of me. So I took a picture. Yeah, it's just a mockingbird, but I thought they were pretty cool photos. You can see somebody's building a nest. There were birds flying along the river. There was this cool root structure. We thought maybe there was a nest there. Well, that's a little embarrassing. So we saw these downy woodpeckers hanging out. They were some of the first birds we saw. I have a lot of downy woodpecker photos from the house here, so I don't really need any more, but I thought I'd zoom in and see if they turned out okay. Again, shooting in the canopy of the trees is daunting, to say the least. The glare of the sunlight was really wreaking havoc on my lens there. I should have put the lens hood on. And here we go. This was the star of the show. We were chasing him all around the woods here, trying to get his picture. This is the yellow-throated warbler, yet another warbler to cross off my bucket list. Also, once he came down and you got the first couple shots, it seemed like he started posing after that. That's a pretty good shot. But I think that's the best shot in the bunch, so I'm going to exit out of this, hit edit. I could probably speed things up a little bit by closing out some of the other pictures. I'm probably getting low on RAM. Alright, I don't really need to crop this, I don't think. I think what I'm going to start with is adjust brightness, contrast, fill light, clarity. Oh, it went to local tone mapping. I missed. Let's try again. Brightness, fill light, and clarity. Okay. That might be a little bit much. Alright. Also, I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to just see what happens with one-step photo fix. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. I'm not real happy with that. It made things darker. So I'm going to hit no. Now I got to redo my fill light and clarity, but it remembered my last setting, so I'll just say okay. Alright. Now, I don't like this bright green up here. So you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go vignette this picture. There we go. And I think it's just better. Now I'll save it off as an edited as a yellow warbler. I know I'm not yet at Sylvan Heights. This is the trip to Sylvan Heights, so it was on the same day, and that's why it's in the Sylvan Heights folder, which is kind of sloppy sorting, I realize, but like I said, it's a lot of pictures. Alright, so here we are. First thing you see when you walk into Sylvan Heights and you come through the doors after you've paid your $30 for 2 people is flamingos. So I got lots of flamingo pictures. And here is a male and female getting ready to get up to shoot some shenanigans. And he's, you can guess what he's got on his mind. And there we go. Now he's just, it's springtime. What are you going to say? And there's a duck. They have some beautiful wildlife at this park, and the people there are really nice. And we had 2 cameras with us. We had the D7500 with the 600mm lens, but because I knew the birds would be very close, my wife was carrying our Nikon D3300 with the Tamron 18 to 400mm lens. And I think in this park, a lot of her pictures turned out better than mine because she had the ability to take a picture of a bird that's right in your face, where I was having to back up and try to get them into the frame, and it didn't always work. It did for that picture. When I look at this picture, one of the things that really jumps out at me is the water dripping from the bird's face. Now I've got a lot of flamingo pictures here, a lot of flamingo bodies, but I'm gonna go back to the JPEG, click edit, and I want to go see if I can make something with that water drop coming off of the bird's beak. There we go. So to do that, I'm going to crop and maybe just see what that looks like. See, now to me, it's a more interesting photo now. Sometimes less is more. Brightness, contrast, fill, light, and clarity. Sure, nice and bright, but it took some of the color out, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put some color back in it. And there we go. I think that's kind of an interesting photo as opposed to how it was originally shot. I would save that off to flamingo drop, whatever name you want. Get back to manage. And start going through. I like that picture, and I wouldn't edit that picture at all. I like just the group of feathery bodies there. I thought it was very interesting. That one's maybe a little better because at least you get one flamingo completely in the picture. I was happy with that picture too. Very happy with that picture. I might crop that, I might not. I don't know. That one looks good. This is a cool looking bird. And that is, to me, a really good photo. I don't even know if I'd bother cropping that one. I could take out some of the background to the upper right and upper, just the upper part of it if I wanted to. I know the purists out there would say, why? But I think the finished product is more important than the process. That's just my opinion. And if I can slightly improve the picture by recomposing it just a little bit, I will. One thing I want to talk about when I crop, I click on the crop tool. I don't want to ruin my original dimensions. So you'll see I'm doing last applied every time, but what it is the 2x3 or 4x6. That is the original dimensions of the photo. I don't like changing the dimensions of the photo at all. In that I am kind of a purist. Like, I wouldn't make it just square. I may turn a portrait or a landscape photo to a portrait photo. I've done that before, and I can do that with this button here. I can rotate the crop, but in this case I don't want to do that. Oh. Alright, so get all of the bird in there. Say okay. Alright, so now it's the photo's mostly bird. And I kind of like that. I would save it off, but I have a bit of a problem here. I got no idea what the name of that bird is. So I would save it. I think I've already done this before earlier this morning when I was testing this out. So I would call this one B. There's probably no difference between A and B. They might be slightly composed slightly different, but I go back to manage. Double click, take me back into preview mode. Wow, I like that a lot. But that one's even better. I think that one obeys the rule of thirds just slightly better. That's a really good photo. I like that. I might bump up the saturation on that one just a little bit. I'm going to go through kind of rapidly just to see the pictures here. There was a scarlet ibis. I don't know what bird that is. I think it's a tern, but I'm not positive. Parakeets. Parakeet's getting busy. I think this parakeet, while being a horny devil, is also quite the gentleman. Notice how he holds his wing over there to try to give them a modicum of privacy. So I really like that photo. And then he kind of looks over like, are you getting this? So yes, I'm getting that photo. Good for you. Keep the species going. So when you're in this place, this is called the landing zone. You can buy little food sticks and the birds will come land on you. Even if you don't buy the food sticks, the birds will still land on you when the people with the food sticks leave and you're all that's there. So they'll come land on you and in your hair, on your shoulder. I got bit in the ear. Not hard. Little love bites. That's another good photo. It's interesting the difference between the raw image and the JPEG. If you look at his green feathers on his wing, the pattern changes in the raw image versus the JPEG, which I find very interesting. I think this is a Hyacinth macaw. I could be wrong, but basically it's blue parrot. Quite a lovely bird. I don't know what bird that is, but he was big and he was kind of mean. He would chase the other birds around sometimes. More macaws. I think I'm coming up to a picture that I noticed when I was previewing. Oh, nope. So, an interesting thing about this park. Yes, they have a crap ton of birds in captivity. They also have wild birds flying around from outside the park. And we were able to cross another bird off our list. This is the summer tanager. I did not have a picture of the summer tanager before. And so as far as my big ear goes, he counts. The other birds in captivity don't count because they're in captivity. But he's a wild bird flying around the park and around the swamplands they have there. So that counts. And I got several pictures of him. Or her. I don't know the difference in the summer tanagers, the male from the female. That's a nice shot. I like how the raw image is just a little bit deeper color than the JPEG. Those are also pretty good. I would be happy with those shots. I would probably crop those down and save them. And this one I would probably keep the raw image. That's the one I would work with, I believe. Those are all kind of washed out. He was proving difficult to shoot. It's the rhino horn bird of some type. Kind of a cool bird. They have a lot of cool birds at the Sylvan Heights Bird Park. This is another one that would count, except I already have these, and these are indigo buntings. But I'll always take a chance at shooting an indigo bunting if the opportunity arises. I think this one I would take. I would go in and edit. Excuse me. I need to get like what they have in radio stations, a cough button. I already know what I'm going to do with this picture. I'm going to crop it. I'm going to vignette it because of all the white. So we go to crop. I'm going to want much more crop than that. Oh, now I've done it. I have to go back to... nope, not 16 by 9. I'm missing. I've lost control of my mouse. 2 by 3, 4 by 6. Grab the corner. Drag it down. Grab the bottom corner. Drag it up. Recenter it. Sure. There we go. Yay, there's my indigo bunting. I really need to adjust the fill light clarity on this quite a bit, I think. Alright. I think it needs a little more color. Alright. And last but not least, vignette. There we go. I think that turned a pretty lousy photo into something that's, while probably still not printable, I would put it in a slideshow. And I would save it off and edit it as indigo bunting. Save. Hello, doggy. Sorry, my dog just entered the room. I'm sure he wants something. Alright, Scarlet Ibis. He does want something. Wow. And that macaw is just really pretty. This macaw reminded me of a nuthatch in that he was constantly upside down. And I'm getting towards, I think, what will probably be one of my last pictures I'm going to show, and that's this picture. I think this picture is the kind of picture that purists are looking for. This is a picture I wouldn't touch. I might put my signature on it in the upper corner, and that's all I would do. I wouldn't edit this one bit. And I think I even like the JPEG better than the raw image. So I would come and say edit. There we go. So I would go and I would open up my, in the root of pictures I have my signature things, signature PSP image. I would probably have to make this bigger, so I'm going to go to image, resize, 135%, sure. Control A, Control C. Go to this one, let's say edit, paste as a new selection. Well, that didn't work. Control Z, undo, go back here, PSP image. is not selecting the actual signature. So let's try. There we go. That was very strange. I haven't had it do that before, but that's alright. So I got the signature in there, but when you do that, you can see over here that it makes an extra layer. So I want to go in and say merge all down, flatten. And it's kind of annoying. Selection, select none. That's strange. It did not flatten down and delete my layer. Merge all, flatten. There we go. Now it is. Alright. So that's all I would do to this picture, is put my signature on it. M. Todd Godfrey Photography. I really like that. That would be one I would put into my portfolio if I had a portfolio. I do have a portfolio of some of my best photos, and I would put that one right in there and call that we'll call best. There we go. Super happy with that shot. And other photos are good. I mean, there's a lot of good photos in here. Even that one is really good. It's not quite as good as the other one, but I don't think I'd have to do anything to that photo either, and I would put them in my portfolio. Just toss it in. It's a little out of focus. I like that, but he's got a twig in his face. It's always something. I like that, but he's got a pole in his face. See, photography can be, that's why you take so many pictures. I don't know how they used to do it with film. I would have gone broke. That's very interesting looking. It's kind of a cool bird. So I think now you pretty much get an idea of what I do with my photos and how I go through and edit them. That spoonbill is a really beautiful bird. I would certainly do something with that. This picture is almost perfect. It's just a little dim. So I would have to bump up the lighting just a little. Let's see if I can actually make that better by bumping up the fill light. Bump up the brightness just a little bit, make it better. I might even try some local tone mapping to see if I can bring out some of the lines. I can tell I'm going to have to reboot this computer soon. It's really lagging all of a sudden. Because I have a lot of pictures open in the background here that I could close out, and that might help me out some too. These are large photos. They take up a lot of memory, and having a lot of them open starts eating up the resources on the computer pretty quickly. Alright. Image, adjust, brightness, contrast, fill light, and clarity. That would be a little much. I like that. Oh, what the hell. Let's do the vibrancy just a little bit. Pump up the color just a tiny bit. Enhance photo local tone mapping. See what that does. Actually made the photo darker again. See, there's the before. and after. I could crank up the strength on here. I'm probably going to make the picture very strange. Yes, see, it's a very strange photo now. In some ways it might be more interesting, but it doesn't even resemble the original picture anymore. Take it down to 14. A lot of the smoothness goes out of the feathers. That's what local tone mapping does. It makes it a little more dramatic, but I'm not going to use it. I think I would just leave it there. Maybe even paste in my signature again. Paste as new selection. Then layers, merge. All right. I think I just accidentally merged it with a key combination that I have no idea what I just did, but it merged it for me. I tried to hit Control A, I think it hit Control something else, and it merged the photo. So let's see, File, Save As, Edited Spoonbill. It's interesting that it's spoonbill, and I like the image, but you can't see his spoonbill in that image. That's probably a better photo. I should have done that one instead. That's why it's important to kind of scroll through all the pictures before you decide which ones you want to edit and keep, in order to save time. I'll probably go back and save that one later. There's a wood duck. That's a beautiful duck. And you can find them in this area if you go out to marshes and swamps and ponds and lakes, and you could photograph this in the wild. I don't get to count this one because it wasn't in the wild, but I still got some nice pictures. Although this is an example of having too much lens. I couldn't go down any lower than I believe it's 150, and I was just too close to that bird to really get them all in. But if you back up, usually you can get a good shot. I like that one. I might put my signature on that one and keep that. I think that's a beautiful duck. There's the ring-necked pheasant. I kind of thought this bird looked like Riff Raff from Rocky Horror. I don't know why. It's got to be the hair or feathers. So I'm just kind of cruising along through here now to see if there's anything else I want to show you, anything else that jumps out at me. That's a pretty darn good photo. I like that one too. I would save that off and put my name on it. There were titmice on the walkway out there, wild birds. There's also a brown thrasher, which is a wild bird that I got a picture of that was around the grounds there, so that counts. That's a pretty bird. Don't know what it is off the top of my head, but these enclosures that you would go into, they had the most beautiful birds that you could just sit there and interact with. I think these are some sort of wax bill. That's a blue roller. These are all in the same place. These were South American eagles. I didn't get a good shot with my camera. My wife did get a good picture with the D3300 and Tamron lens. This bluebird was following us all around this room. It was hard to shoot because he was always so close to you, always at your feet. So it's hard to get him in the frame with my camera. My wife, again, got better pictures with the Tamron lens because it goes down to 18mm. I think these two pictures I like, especially like that one. He looks kind of cheeky there, looking at me like, don't you want to take my picture? Well, yes, I do. So I would probably crop that one down a little bit, and that's about all I would do with that shot. So I've probably given you enough of an idea of what I do to go through these. Wow. Yeah, like that one. I don't think I would do anything but sign that. Same with that one. That one I actually might recenter that some, but other than that, this just gives you an idea of the birds that you can see at Sylvan Heights Park in North Carolina. It's not too far from Roanoke Rapids as you first come into North Carolina. It's east of 95. Yeah, I really enjoy shooting these birds here. So, oh, yeah, two can play at this game. There's a toucan. I suddenly wanted some Fruit Loops. The only downside is some of the birds, like the toucan, is behind this mesh, not out in the open with like most of the other birds are, so it's hard to shoot them and get any kind of keepable photo. But you take them just to say that you saw the bird. Like these other birds, they're in the room with you and they're flying around you, so you can get really good shots. I'm just rapidly going through here. I like the duck. Don't know what kind of duck. There's every kind of duck you can think of there. And they have them cordoned off by like area. Australian and South American. For the life of me, I could not figure out why, but in this one enclosure that we were in, where they had the blue bird and they had the eagles, they had all these other things, they had brown-headed cowbirds, and that right there is a female brown-headed cowbird. That right there is the laziest bird you'll ever see. She won't raise her own young. She puts them in other birds' nests for them to raise. There's a cuckoo. There was rabbits there running around. A lot of those bluebirds in a lot of different enclosures. And I've probably shown you just about everything that I would do. I don't know why I took pictures of this ugly ass bird. He just is hideous. But he was in one of the enclosures, so I took his picture. This bird looks like they chopped one of his legs off. I don't think they have. I'm sure it's around there somewhere. But they stand there on one leg, which is really interesting. That's a pretty bird that I just failed to get a picture of that really does it justice. I was trying every angle, but I was shooting through some bushes, and I never was able to get a clear shot of him. So I moved on to some of his other friends instead. Kind of like that one of the bird in the middle, because he's in focus. I might take this and crop it like that. If I were going to keep this one, well, I'm keeping them all, but if I was going to use this for something, I would probably crop that just like that, and I might even bump up the vibrancy just a little bit. You know, now he's turned his head to a possibly more interesting position. So that was the trip to Sylvan Heights. I think it's winding down now. This is near the end of the park. I like that picture. Just such beautiful birds they have here. I believe that's a quail of some type. There we go. It was Gamble's quail and a superb starling. That starling is indeed quite superb. Well named. An emu. Yes, I also saw a blue jay in there, and the bird around me, I just couldn't help but take a picture since he was right there. And that was the last bird of the park, and then we left. So, thanks for watching. Please remember to hit like and subscribe. You can leave comments if you want. I understand if you felt like this video went on and on a little bit too long and dragged at times. That's what the fast forward button's for. You can hit it. It's right down there. So thanks and have a great day.